Alexa, play SendMe Radio.
Welcome to SendMe Radio.
The Rise and Fall of Babylon, a biblical lesson on pride and judgment throughout history. Great nations have risen and fallen. Empires have been built on power, wealth, and influence, only to crumble under the weight of their own pride. One of the most striking examples in the Bible is Babylon, a kingdom that stood mighty, yet was brought to its knees by arrogance and rebellion against God. Today, we will explore Babylon's rise and fall, how pride destroyed a king and his empire, and how its lessons still apply to nations and individuals today. Where was Babylon located? Babylon was located in ancient Mesopotamia, which is present-day Iraq. It was situated along the Euphrates River, about 85 kilometers south of modern Baghdad. What is its modern name? The ruins of ancient Babylon are near the modern city of Hilla, Iraq. Today, the site is a historical landmark, though much of it is in ruins. What made Babylon so great? Babylon was considered one of the greatest cities of the ancient world due to several key factors. 1. Military and political power. Under King Hammurabi, Babylon became the dominant force in Mesopotamia. Under King Nebuchadnezzar II, Babylon reached its peak, conquering lands, including Judah and Jerusalem. It was a military superpower, feared by surrounding nations. 2. Architectural and engineering marvels. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, were said to be built by Nebuchadnezzar II for his wife. The Ishtar Gate, adorned with blue glazed bricks and images of dragons and bulls, was one of the most beautiful gates in the world. The Euphrates River ran through the city, with canals and irrigation systems that supported its prosperity. 3. Economic and trade hub. Babylon was a center for commerce and trade, with markets filled with goods from all over the world. It had an advanced monetary system and was a key player in the trade routes of Mesopotamia. 4. Scientific and astronomical advancements. Babylonian scholars made important contributions to astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. They developed one of the first recorded calendars, based on lunar cycles. Their base 60 numeral system is the reason we measure time in 60 seconds per minute and 60 minutes per hour. 5. Religious and cultural influence. Babylon was a center for religious worship, with over 50 temples, including the famous ziggurat of Enki, believed to have inspired the biblical Tower of Babel. The Babylonian gods, especially Marduk, were central to their culture. Nebuchadnezzar's pride and his humiliation. Despite witnessing God's power, King Nebuchadnezzar refused to humble himself. He saw himself as the source of Babylon's greatness. In Daniel 4 verse 30, he stood on the rooftop of his palace and said, "Is not this great Babylon, that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty?" At that moment, God judged him for his arrogance. Daniel 4 verses 31 to 32 says, "While the word was still in the king's mouth, a voice fell from heaven, 'King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you. And they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field.'" Nebuchadnezzar lost his sanity. He lived in the wild, eating grass like an ox for 7 years, his hair growing like eagle's feathers and his nails like bird's claws. It was only when he humbled himself before God that his kingdom was restored. In Daniel 4 verses 34 to 37, Nebuchadnezzar finally acknowledged God's sovereignty. "I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. I blessed the Most High and praised and honored him who lives forever." But Babylon itself did not learn from this lesson. Later kings continued in pride and rebellion, leading to its ultimate downfall. The writing on the wall, Babylon's final warning. One of Nebuchadnezzar's successors, King Belshazzar, took Babylon's arrogance even further. One night, he held a great feast, drinking wine from the gold and silver vessels stolen from God's temple in Jerusalem. As they mocked God, something terrifying happened. Daniel 5 verses 5 to 6 says, "In the same hour the fingers of a man's hand appeared and wrote opposite the lampstand on the plaster of the wall. Then the king's countenance changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his hips were loosened, and his knees knocked against each other." The mysterious writing on the wall read, "Mene, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin." Daniel interpreted the words. "Means God has numbered the days of your kingdom and finished it. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Upharsin, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians." That very night, Babylon fell. In Daniel 5 verses 30 to 31, we read, "That very night Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain. And Darius the Mede received the kingdom. The once great Babylon was no more, destroyed because of its pride, idolatry, and defiance against God. Babylon in the Book of Revelation, a symbol of corruption and judgment. The Book of Revelation speaks extensively about Babylon, not just as a historical city, but as a symbol of worldly corruption and rebellion against God. 1. Babylon the Great, a symbol of evil and idolatry. Revelation 17 verses 1-5 describes Babylon as a harlot who corrupts the nations. Revelation 17 verse 5 Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. Babylon is not just a city but a global system of idolatry, greed, and rebellion. 2. The fall of Babylon. Revelation 18 verse 8 states, Therefore her plagues will come in one day, death and mourning and famine. And she will be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her. Babylon's destruction will be sudden and complete. 3. God's warning to his people. Revelation 18 verse 4 warns, Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. This is a call for believers to separate from corrupt systems and remain faithful to God. Final thought, a call to humility and faithfulness. The fall of Babylon is a warning and a prophecy. It reminds us that pride leads to destruction. Wealth and power without God are meaningless. God's kingdom is the only kingdom that will last forever. James 4 verse 10 encourages us. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. Babylon will fall, but God's people will stand victorious with Christ. The question is, will you follow Babylon, or will you follow God? May we choose faithfulness, separate ourselves from Babylon's ways, and walk in obedience to the Lord. For his kingdom will reign forever.
Thank you for listening to Send Me Radio, www.sendmeradio.net. Join us every morning on our website at 6 a.m. Eastern, or call in on 516-387-8860 for Mountaintop Prayer with Pastor Chidi Akari.